Welcome to another episode of the Decoding Cross-Border Ecommerce podcast. Aaron Bezzant and myself, Clint Reid, are your hosts. And today we're back to talk about tariffs because there's been a lot of things going on over the last 24 hours. We're here early on a Saturday morning, give updates based on the Supreme Court striking down the IEEPA tariffs and the new executive order that's gone out. So Aaron, you're the expert here. I'm excited to talk about all these things today.
You're the only expert that was available for a Saturday morning. That's really what it is.
Yeah. I just asked ahead of time what questions you want me to ask you.
Yeah, this is...
I don't remember.
We're just going to freeform this thing. And I do want to first put out a thank you to the Supreme Court and to the administration for doing this all on a Friday and having executive orders come out on a Friday afternoon so we can be here on a Saturday morning, because there'd be nowhere else I'd rather be right now.
Yeah, this is great.
Yeah. So, and it's also kind of a sad moment too, because did you know I have a pet parrot, by the way?
Really?
Yeah. He actually just passed away last night.
I'm sorry.
He was obese, like really fat, like he was a chunky fellow. So I'm pretty sad, but at the same time, like it's a major weight off my shoulders. Arr. All right, we got that one out of the way.
Okay.
All right, let's move on. What happened? What the heck happened?
Yeah, what happened? We knew this was probably coming. Poly market, I remember watching, right in the high 20% that this was going to get struck down. They didn't talk anything about refunds. Notice that. But yeah, just have a few questions.
I think the refund stuff is to come. That's a whole other...
Yeah, we probably won't talk about that much today, but I think just here's what we're going to talk about today. E-commerce, how it impacts e-commerce, de minimis, right? Anything under what used to be the de minimis, and postal mostly, but we'll also talk about non-postal a little bit. In fact, maybe we start with that, just the non-postal. Like what's happening now for sellers overseas that are shipping into the US and it's under $800.
Yeah, so I mean, it's probably easy to frame it with what the heck just happened in the last 24 hours. Which was the Supreme Court came out with an opinion and a ruling that said IEEPA can't be used to inflict tariffs on other countries. IEEPA was a great flexible tool that the administration's been
and that's
using.
why they picked it, because they could have high rates. And
honestly, they probably knew it was going to get challenged, and they didn't know what the outcome would be, I'm guessing. But heck, it's been a great tool for them for the last year, and it's been effective in
what they want to
accomplish, right? But as we expected, we've kind of all been waiting for this ruling to come out, and as we expected, the administration had a quick response to it same day. Yeah. So they had everything waiting in the wings with a new justification outside of IEEPA. So the ruling was very narrow on, you can't impose tariffs. There's other things that IEEPA has been used for they didn't really talk to, like de minimis and other things, which the executive order addresses as well, the new executive order. So in practice, what's happening is IEEPA tariffs are gone. The Supreme Court ruled on that.
They are, so they're not getting charged anymore?
No, they still are, because we still have to wait for
Okay, so
instructions.
I think that's really important. The IEEPA tariff is still getting charged today, Saturday.
Yes. And if you look, all the headlines, your major carriers, of all your major brokers and everything, they can't do anything other than continue with the status quo until U.S. Customs comes out with a new process and update.
So now we're waiting for CBP. So if you're shipping into the U.S. right now, you're going to have a higher tariff rate than you might have in a week. We don't know when exactly, or Monday night or whatever. So
we're in flux. We're in this transition period right now. So we're waiting for more guidance and instruction on how to transition to the new world, so right now it's still the old world is in practice and in operation. And then we'll get the new guidance on how to transition to the new world, which the new world is now quickly transitioned to Section 122. So this is a new justification for IEEPA, and then 122. This was a very temporary measure intentionally is the president does have authority to basically do sweeping tariffs up to 15% for up to 150 days. And it's really broad across all the country. So he just came out with an executive order that said 10% across the board. And then he has a few carve outs for like USMCA and a few other kind of things like minerals and other commodities, which USMCA is really the big one that will impact e-commerce. But that's only in the commercial stream. Postal it's got its new set of rules, because if you remember, now, do we want to go into Postal yet? Is there anything any questions you have on non-postal?
No.
So
let's go on. Let's move on.
So now in the Postal, it is very similar. They came out with they actually came out with 3 executive orders yesterday to kind of address things. They ended the IEEPA tariffs in the executive order explicitly, and then they gave instructions for the executives of the different branches to turn off the collection of those as soon as is practicable. I don't use that word very often.
Oh, wow.
I have a hard time saying that one, but as soon as is practicable. So that's where we're waiting for CBP and stuff to come out and give guidance on how to transition to the new stuff, which the new stuff takes effect Monday night at midnight. So Tuesday morning.
How practicable is this? Because now we're just over, like, we do this for 60 plus posts into the US. We're the qualified party managing the remittance to CBP. How hard is it going to be to update the systems here?
For us, it'll be easy.
How come?
Have you ever seen Napoleon Dynamite?
Many times.
I love technology, right? That's from that show, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Our systems are built robust, flexible enough that, this is an update that our team will make rapidly once we get the guidance and exactly how to do that. I really expect and hope that we'll get some information on Monday so that we have a smooth transition between the two systems. So, but yeah, it's really, in the Postal, it's fairly status quo, except the rates are changing and the justification for those rates are changing. But other than that, it's going to kind of be status quo. The new executive orders came out, said, yep, no more IEEPA, transition as fast as you can, agencies, and tell everyone how to do this. Still waiting on that part. And by the way, here's some new tariffs. Here's the justification for those. Qualified party process is still in place. And the rate to charge is no longer based on IEEPA. It's based on this new stuff, which is currently 10%.
Okay. And prior there was special treatment for informational materials. They had 0% duty.
Yep.
Is that changing?
Nope. That's still in there.
Okay.
That's still in there. Same exact language. They honestly copied and pasted and referenced the previous one and put that in here and just changed a few things around, but it's identical to the old one with the addition of now it's based on 122.
So you're telling me they didn't write all of that after the Supreme Court rule?
For some reason, and look, they had this contingency plan in place for months. In fact, when they wrote that initial executive order back on July 30th and put that out, they already put some contingency stuff in there for if this were to happen, then they already had some things lined out, which was in that executive order, hey, if the Supreme Court strikes down IEEPA tariffs, the de minimis suspension is still going to be in place. And then in this executive order, it references all of that and says, yep, that all happened, and just double down on, nope, the de minimis suspension still in place. And there's, the postal stuff, de minimis is still suspended there, and here's what we're going to charge.
What have been some of the biggest misconceptions, right, over the past 24 hours? I think some really smart people thought that you should stop collecting IEEPA immediately, that it had, which is not the case. That was one of the things that I know. So there's a bit of that out there.
Yeah, it was a day of chaos for a lot of people, a lot of different ideas and interpretations. And that's where we just did everything we could to go straight to the sources, talking to all of our partners, talking to CBP. And it was just like everybody's just hold until official instructions come out and Federal Register gets updated, and then we can move forward.
Was de minimis struck down? That was another one that, you'd heard.
No, the ruling did not
didn't strike down
about that.
Didn't strike down de minimis.
Nope, it just struck down the powers to
Yep.
impose tariffs under IEEPA. That was it.
Okay.
It took 170 pages to say that. I mean, I just said it in one sentence, but
Oh, that was,
yeah.
What else do you think is important right now for retailers or individuals that are shipping to the U.S., like on our app, right? In, some of the various countries?
Well, just rates are changing, but there's still going to be tariffs.
But are they going to be the same?
No, the rates are changing.
Maybe a little bit lower for a bit, right?
Depending on. I think for overall it'll be lower. I think there's some pockets out there that already have some low tariffs, but
what about Canada?
That should be lower. Yeah.
35%, right?
Yeah, that's going to be very impactful.
It'll be very impactful.
So
for
I'm
Canadians.
actually really, really curious to watch. In general, this is going to be lower. Now, we can still talk about what we think is going to come.
Because what is going to?
This is day one. This is not. I don't think this is the end game. But
can he? What other statute sections can he use to target goods in the future? Kind of like he's done with 301.
Yeah.
Right. What are some other levers that people don't be surprised if?
So let's talk through that. And I do want, as far as recommendation for people shipping, if you held it, if you wanted to wait and see how things flush out, wait for instruction, you can wait for a few days. If your tariffs are going to be lower,
you might want to wait.
Not a bad idea.
If it's not urgent,
might
not be a bad idea. Because right now, if you're in our app, we're charging the full IEEPA tariff.
Mm-hmm.
That will change as soon as we have guidance on the date.
Exactly.
We can implement the new process.
And we will update as soon as we can.
Yep.
Like we're gonna follow instructions exactly how they're given. We're gonna enact things as quickly as we can, but we have to get those instructions first.
Yep.
So
okay.
So 122. This is kind of a broad stroke. It's basically giving the president temporary powers up to 150 days to impose levies up to 15% kind of across the board for like general payment deficits and different things like that with international trade. This came about back in the 70s after Nixon, and really hasn't really been used much. Now, there's also I've also read some stuff that he could let it lapse and then just do it again. Say there's still a justification for it and re-up it. I don't know. I'm not the expert. I'm not going to be the legal expert. We might want to get someone on and really dive deep into some of these. So I'm going to go high level across these though. Then you've got 232. So 232 has already been used. This is like your steel and aluminum.
That's what I meant to say was 232. Yes.
That is like commodity based, specific types of products requires, an investigation that, hey, there's a problem here. And then we can, and there's lots of investigations ongoing. So I think we're going to see more of this kind of stuff come out as a different tool set to be able to enact what the president wants to enact. So IEEPA's gone. It was super flexible and robust. Now he's got to go through some different channels that maybe take a little more effort. But a lot of these investigations are already underway, and the results come out, and then they can impose some levies based on that. And so you got 232, which is based on product.
Who's investigating?
That's Commerce Department.
Okay,
that's doing that one.
So they can do it as fast as they want. Like, I did a Google search. I mean, I'm
not the expert on exactly what that all looks like. And what those investigations look like. But yeah, that's one we've already seen it being used. It was steel and aluminum.
Yeah.
So, and then you've got 301. That's been around for years. This dates way back to even Trump's first administration, which is more about unfair trade practices by countries. So that came back in his first administration on China. Honestly, a lot of those are all still in place. So you could see more of that.
Yeah, because even when a Democratic administration is in, they haven't touched those.
Yep. And this is, I believe it's USTR that actually does the investigations on these.
Oh, really?
And so, but yeah, they're same kind of thing. There's a little bit of a process to it to say, oh yeah, there's unfair trade practices going on here, and boom, they can apply levies to a particular country. So, and then there's another one I'm not as familiar with. It's 338, which is similar. It authorizes I mean, this one goes back to like 1930, and I don't think it's ever been used. And it sounds like it's very, actually, in the words what I'm looking at, it's remarkably vague on process. So I don't know if that one's going to be used as well, but it allows action whenever the president finds as a fact that discrimination exists, suggesting that a formal investigation may not be required, but who knows, right? But there may be some things around 338 that could be used, but it sounds like that one's really vague, and I'm not the expert on what that all means, but that one is if a country is discriminating against the U.S., so not just unfair trade practices in general, but like they're doing some stuff discriminatory towards the U.S. So,
okay.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack in all of that I am not the expert on, but that could be an interesting topic for a future episode.
I have a feeling you're going to become an expert on all of these in the coming years.
When I grew up as a kid, I wanted to be an astronaut. I'm not an astronaut right now, but this is still a lot of fun.
Probably as complicated, but
yeah.
And maybe not quite as fun, but this is fun stuff.
Yeah.
It's fun to try to solve problems. Of course, this is a mess, right? It's chaotic, and
this is all
but
stuff.
We're just here to help postal operators, carriers, merchants operate their businesses for cross-border.
Yep. And it is a lot of fun. It's just something you never dream of as a kid. So you grow up and you start learning things you never thought of before, and here we are.
Agreed.
But yeah, no, and the message is a lot changed yesterday, but a lot stayed the same as well.
Yep.
So and there's a lot more information that should be coming out this next week, so we can keep everyone updated after that.
Well, hey, it's good to have you back on the podcast, Aaron, and me back on the podcast. It's been a while, so
it has.
Until next time.
Thanks, Clint.
Thanks for coming.